everybody. Mark Lidbetter, sports editor of the Suburban here with a fresh edition of Judgment Calls. And we're going to be talking some football this time around because I'm being joined by William James, who has just been drafted by the Montreal Alouettes in the global draft. And William is joining me from Sweden, and we're going to talk about his travels to get to this point in his football career. And William, I want to thank you for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
Hey, it's a pleasure. Now, whereabouts in Sweden are you, by the way?
Just north of Stockholm, about 20 minutes to drive.
Very good, very good. Now, when you hear of an athlete coming to a professional team in Montreal, you might think hockey with the Canadiens or a soccer player with the Manic. At what age and what attracted you to football?
Pretty much, it started out, I was playing a Swedish sport called floorball, which kind of like a land hockey version.
Yeah.
And I played a little bit of soccer, but I was always a bit physical. And me and my brother used to play a thing called like dirty soccer with no rules. So pretty rough, like, you know, playing rough as a kid. And then one day, one of my friends used my computer in school to log on to his team website. And it was an American football team that he was playing for. So I just saw these dude with shoulder pads on. And I was just like, what's that? And he says, American football, you want to try it? And I just literally just came down for a couple of practices. I enjoyed the intensity of it. I loved hitting people. I was like, it's pretty good fun. And, you know, one thing led to another. Ambitions climbed.
And you played for the Swedish national team, the youth team.
Yeah.
And you also played with the club team there, which would be equivalent to, say, varsity high school level when you were young.
Yeah.
Now you got really ambitious with this though, because you liked it so much. You figure, well, let's go maybe see what we can get out of it. And you applied to the NCAA to some schools, and you actually, as a walk-on, with the invitation to go as a walk-on, you played for the University of North Dakota. So
yeah,
that's pretty impressive. And you ended up getting a scholarship at one point, I guess 2 years into your career there.
Yes, sir. That's true. Correct.
And how important was getting to play at that level in your development as a player that's brought you to this point?
Oh, that was massive. Like, it was absolutely that. That's pretty much what separated me, I guess, from all the European level. Not to knock on it too much. Like they're doing really well with the resources and the education they have, but it's going to be different, obviously, when you go up to North America, playing in the U.S. or Canada. The coaches know so much, and like they taught me, and I was very ambitious about it. I wanted to learn everything because I wasn't sure how far I would go. So I was like, I might end up back in Europe at one point. If I go back to Europe, I for sure want to make sure I dominate whoever I play. So I took it very serious that I wanted to learn everything, the ins and outs, and I wanted to learn the playbook because I wanted to memorize everything in case I had to teach somebody else one day or my teammates. So, you know, I worked at it, and then you know, with hard work, usually you get a little success.
And you play safety. You're on the D unit. After university, you did go back. You played semi-pro ball. You played with Germany. You played in Finland. You played in your home country. You played with Dresden. That's a pretty good organization that fields the team out of Germany.
Yeah, they're really good.
So you had that opportunity, but after that, you ended up in Australia and playing rugby. So
yeah, sorry.
No, but what was the switch, shifting gears to another sport?
Pretty much after 3 years in Dresden, I realized I wasn't developing as much as a personally as a player anymore. I was developing a lot of other guys, which I still enjoyed, but as a player, I was just really craving development. I want to take my game to the next level. And I wasn't really seeing a way out in Europe of where I would be able to take my game to the next level. And that's no knock on the coaches that were at Dresden. They got their hands full, you know, trying to teach all the local guys and help them. So pretty much me and my friend Mickey Che, who was also a draft eligible guy, we talked a little bit, and we'd seen a bunch of rugby highlights pretty much. And we looked at it, we were like, that looks pretty cool. Like, it looks fun. Had a couple Australian teammates that were on Dresden, so we ended up just flying over there to my teammate Alan former teammate, and then we stayed with him for a bit, trained, and then we took off to Sydney, found teams, and we just played. That was pretty much it.
But also you had to do some horsing around while you were there, I understand too.
Yeah, so it was pretty intense. While I was in Sydney, which is a very expensive city, I was working scaffolding for another Australian teammate. He happened to be a boss at a scaffolding company, so we did that, me and my friend, which was hectic, carrying around all that scaffolds for about 8 hours a day, and then we played rugby league and rugby union. It's two different styles, but similar rule sets, kind of like Canadian football and American football, slightly different rules, but same gist. So it was hectic. 2 games every weekend, 4 practices a week, plus scaffolding and training on our own. And yeah, the horse thing came after the season. I wanted to extend my visa. I really like Australia, and in order to extend your tour or your working holiday visa there, you got to go out to the outback or to do regional work. Literally just happened to stumble upon a website where they said Lindsay Park horse racing, and a lot of the other jobs are pretty boring. It's like anything from picking berries and stuff. I was like, you know what? I'd rather try horses. Never touched one in my life. Called them up. They asked us pretty much saying, how do you feel about horses? Are you comfortable around them? I don't know. Might have overextended myself a little bit. I said like, oh yeah, no worries, not at all. But then we got down there, man. Those animals are big.
Well, the good thing with working with horses, it's pretty stable employment, at least.
Yeah.
So you were there, you were in Australia, but I understand to take part in what ended up being a virtual combine for the CFL, you had to boot back home to Sweden.
Yeah, so pretty much what happened was I was out there working with the horses and training for rugby again because I thought I was going to play another season. So I've been out there for about 7 months working first at Lindsay Park horse racing, which is like full-on 2-year-old horses racing. And then I switched over to a stud farm where they breed the horses and sell them. And in the gist of all that, the Swedish Federation reached out to me and they're like, hey, the Canadian Football League is going to have a combine here. Do you want to try out for it? Like, you have a spot secured if you want to go. And I was about 3 weeks out. And I was just like, I feel like I'll regret it if I don't go. So I ended up paying for the tickets, flying back there for about a week, doing a tryout. Luckily, they were happy with me. So I got that ticket to Toronto. So I flew back to Australia, kept working the horses. And then I flew into Finland. And I was going to work out with two of the Sebastian Sagnier, Saskatchewan receiver. And we were supposed to work out together with him and Mickey, but then COVID kind of hit, so they shut the borders. So I still have my bike, all my clothes, books, everything over there in Australia.
So here it is, draft day comes, no expectations, right? You're hoping. 4th round, which is the last one, and you get picked by Montreal, which... it is a historic franchise in the CFL. What was that like when you said, "Hey, you got picked"?
Oh, it's pretty unreal. I mean, there was sort of this culmination of. I felt like it wasn't just a 1-year thing. I mean, I worked my butt off this entire year, training 6 days a week. Do 2 days while working a full-time job. I was working 50-hour weeks, blah, 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 whatever. But, it's a culmination of 10 years of work from traveling and doing all these things, living rough sometimes, living, all kinds of situations. And it just, I don't know, it felt huge. I was stoked in a way, pretty undescribable, to be honest.
Now,
didn't know how to react.
Have you been checking out games, like, some game film or that, at least looking at the Canadian game and what you're coming into, and what do you think?
Love it. So I've been watching games as much as possible. They got a bunch of them up on YouTube there. And I'm fortunate enough, there's a guy here he's going to play for University of Calgary, Dinos.
The Dinos?
So he knows a little bit. Yeah, so he knows a little bit of the waggle and doing the forward motions. I've been working with him to try and get that in my repertoire, my toolbox, and get a little looks on that. And I don't know. I'm watching as much as I can, studying up, trying to see what I can find.
Well, the good news is, I don't know if you heard, but the CFL released today that there will be a season. It will start in August. It'll be a 14-game season. So I guess what you're doing now, you're working out, you're preparing, because you want to hit the camp and you want to try and earn a spot, I would imagine.
100%. I mean, getting drafted is only one part of it. I mean, my mind right away shifted to, like my next step is competing for those spots and making the team and making sure I contribute to the team. That's all that's in my mind. Make sure we get, I want to be a factor for helping the team get to a Grey Cup.
One thing, what do you bring to the mix with your style of play and your ability?
I think my biggest attribute is definitely my no quit attitude. I mean, I don't really care about score or situation. I'm always going to be out there competing every down like it's my last down. There's no doubt in my mind that, I contribute by my physical play, my ability to study, work hard, and lift up the other guys. I'm always going to help out in whatever way I can. And I'm always going to listen to guys. I'm not cocky by any means. I'm happy to learn from anybody younger, older, or anybody equivalent. It doesn't matter. I'm there to get better. That's all that matters to me.
And athletes are always the toughest critics on themselves. What are you working on that you say, I want to be that much better when I do get to camp?
Greg Quick pointed out when we did a combine in person in 2020 that sorry pulling out those carbine in 2020 that I need to work a little bit on man coverage. Obviously I've been playing rugby, so I was very rough. So what happened was that in Australia there are a couple of American football teams, but I had to drive 2 hours to Melbourne to practice against one team and then 2 hours to Bendigo to practice against another team. So it was 6 hours of driving every other Sunday to practice against local guys. So the quality was so-and-so, but he told me like, hey, you got to work a little bit extra on your man-to-man coverage. So that's pretty much what I've been doing a whole bunch. So in Sweden, me and a friend just started up a big group during the summer where, everybody in Sweden plays football. We'd come out, we're going to compete, play one-on-ones. So we got that fired up and just had a bunch of tournaments and stuff like that.
Well, I want to thank you for taking the time. I know it's late over there and you just finished working out, I believe. So congratulations on getting drafted to the Alouettes organization. And I wish you the best of luck when camp does open and that you do sign and get here and get the chance to taste a professional career. You've put in the time, definitely.
Okay.
And this is Mark Lidbetter, and my judgment call on this one is you never give up. You want to play, you want to do whatever it is, you put in the effort, you'll be rewarded. And until next time, everybody, you know where to find me, sports@thesuburban.com. Any questions, any suggestions? And until next time, everybody stay safe. Let's get out there and toss that football around because spring is coming. Take care.